Cuffs are off, man. Get right. Too many left in these leagues, but I ain't gonna leave. I'ma get right. Get right. Down to the bottom and scratch it for all the.
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus Grant.
This is AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I got to give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You want to lose your league?
Our league. Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
Best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
And you're tuned in to watch my boys at Get Right Fantasy Network. Get you right. Enjoy the show.
But I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up. Yeah, go roll your sleeves up. And I'm getting down, cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right, cause I roll my sleeves up.
What up? What up? What up, world? We are back. I'm Anthony, aka Rasta, and this is Get Right Fantasy Network. I'm here with my guy Fish and Frank on this lovely Monday evening after a doubleheader Monday Night Football. How you doing, Frank? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Some of the pretty decent games tonight too.
I stopped when it was like 9-6 watching that Miami game.
Yeah,
Detroit game was like
rough.
much better. I was not flipping over, so I was shocked to see it come back to be like 31-12 or something like that. I saw Tajay Spears took like a wildcat handoff, and I caught a couple highlights here and there, but I was focused in on that shootout between Seattle and Detroit. Man, that was a fun game.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
that was a good trick play too. I'm on Ross and Brown.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Throwing a
I'd much
touchdown.
rather watch that. Like, if I would have came back and been like, I was watching this other thing over here and I missed those plays, I would have been
Like, what the heck?
70-yard touchdown to J-Mo. I mean, come on. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? We need to have better flex schedule with these games. Like, if people are out or hurt, like they should be able to move these things around. But I get it. They make like the travel plans in advance. You can't just kind of do that all willy-nilly. So anyway, enough about that. Let's move on. We're turning the page to week 5. But before we do, we'll of course kind of recap some things here, obviously get into some news. Big time injuries here this week again, not quantity, but quality injuries.
Quality
just
injuries.
carnage, man. Through 4 weeks, like the entire first 2 rounds, there's only like 5 guys standing still. And then the ones who are still standing probably are underperforming at that. So welcome to fantasy football. If you've never played before, this is just a normal year.
Right.
All that prep for nothing. It's all
Some of
about
this
just
right
Russian
here.
roulette. Yeah, trying to dodge some bullets, baby. Try to be Helmuth up here. So we'll get into, of course, our top waiver ads by position. We will focus on those guys that are about 65% less, or 65% rostered or less. And then we'll get into some risers and fallers. Kind of let you know, almost like a sneak peek into our trade talk on Wednesday, guys who we feel like their stock's rising and other guys whose stock is lowering, which kind of sets up our buy low, sell high on Wednesday. And then, of course, we'll take your guys' questions, drop them in the chat now. We will get to them during the live Q&A segment. And then, of course, if you want to get us to answer a question right away, you want to gloat or say anything, you could drop us a super chat. That's available as well. But Frank, for anyone who is new here, checking us out for the first time, why don't you let them know what we have going on here on Get Right Fantasy Network throughout the
I
week?
got to tell you, I like your new DJ voice, man. It sounds all deep and
Is it?
very whitish
okay.
right now. I'm
It's
telling you.
it's just the mic, man. It's
So
the
hey,
mic.
on Tuesdays we got Tycoon coming in here for hosting the Fantasy Boardroom. Wednesdays we got 2 shows going on: the Extra Point with Phil Ruskin and Dynasty Outlook trades, Q&A, that kind of content right there, and then Get Right Fantasy roster management and trade targets. So we discuss the buy, sell, and hold with my Anthony and myself. Thursdays we got the Extra Point with Phil Ruskin. He's kind of talking about daily fantasy and prop bets leading into the Thursday night football game. On Fridays, we got shows from 6 and 8 p.m., 2 parts, part 1 and part 2 of the game by game must sit start on the players and the previews of the games. Sundays, we got Mike 8 a.m. doing the active, inactive, sit, start, Q&A, and casual DFS lineups. And then, we just got the guys here dropping content, recording videos they don't actually go live, but we got Kendall with the Fantasy Football Tavern, and then the Sweet Life pod with Jack and Cody McGoats. So you got to check those guys out. They'll be dropping material here. So please like and subscribe. Remember to hit that turn on notifications to keep up with all the current content here at Get Right Fantasy Network. So so check it out. We also got links in the descriptions for our sleeper channel and all our affiliates. So definitely go check them out and give them a like and a subscribe as well.
For sure. And like we said, if you want to have us get to your comments, make sure you drop us a super chat in there. If not, go ahead and drop your questions now. Or if you're watching this later and it's not live, drop a comment in the comment section of this video, and we will respond to it there and answer whatever question you may have. Anything, comments about the show. We love to hear your input, man. Let's get those comments going, man. We appreciate the live support, but we can take some comments when we're not live too. So
already saying what's up, what a good game tonight. On that one we were just talking about here, the second half of the Monday night doubleheader. Also got Robert Thomas up in here, so yeah, let's get
for
some
sure.
stuff going, man.
Absolutely. So for a second there, I forgot that we had that I made those overlays about our show and all that. I'm like in week 5, like groove. Like I forgot it's a new season. Like I just kind of started just getting a little comfortable there. So we'll see how it goes, man. But let's get into this thing, man. I'm excited to turn the page to week 5. We have 4 games, a whole month under our belt now. Quarter of the season is pretty much over. So now is when you're really trying to get your teams together. Obviously a ton of injuries that are going on. So have a couple guys coming back from injuries. So we'll get into all that here tonight.
Now it's time to panic.
Yeah, and now maybe I should bring back panic or not. Now maybe we might have to throw some of that in there. Did we do that here, or do we do that on Fridays? That's kind of like our risers and followers. We'll work that in there. Yeah, I'll ask you for your panic
like that. We started doing another one like similar to that. Yeah,
for sure. All right, so let's get it going, man. Let's jump into this thing. Again, if you guys have any questions or comments, let us know how you guys are doing. How you looking? Are you 4-0? Are you 0-4? Any something in between? We want to hear about it. This is the place to do it.
Any 4-0 guys little left out there? I want to know.
I have 2 or 3, I think, out of my 19 that are 4-0, but I won by the hairs on my chin against the other 3-0 team, against Ant in our home league, man, and Rock Stompers on that last 21-yard catch by DK. It's like 97.48 to 96.98 or something.
I lost it. Of course, he has like his best week ever on me, so that's all right.
Yeah, you beat me, I think, in 2 spots this week. So I think you got me in the listener league. Yeah, not for me. I don't like it at all. I'm a poor sport. You know that. I hate losing. All right, so here we go, man. Let's get into it.
Topics here and
news and notes. Yeah. So just something just real quick. Jacoby Brissett, he's set to remain the starter. Obviously, had the game against the Niners here this week. Didn't look great, but he will remain the starter there. I'm sure they don't want to put Drake May in harm's way. Maybe if it gets way out of hand later on, they'll bring him in, get some work here and there, maybe towards the end of the season. Injuries. But yeah, it's still early now. That line's awful. Yeah, so why get him banged up? One little news pellet, I kind of snuck it in here just because can't really talk about him, I guess, in our waivers since we set that 65% ownership threshold. But Nick Chubb, they opened up his 21-day practice window this week. He is 85% owned on sleeper and redraft leagues. So someone just to kind of take a look out in those 15% of leagues, maybe those small short benches, maybe the
Yahoo 77, ESPN 78.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not 80-90. Jerome Ford didn't look, hasn't run away with this job like I thought he might have.
No.
And the fact that they immediately, there was no question. It wasn't like, oh, we'll see how he is Wednesday. Like, boom, they opened it the day that they, at the first chance they got.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. Obviously wishing Chubb, all the best. But I'll be hurting there in several leagues with all my Jerome Ford ownership. So we'll see what happens. And then same with Jonathan Brooks, man, Carolina running back. We saw how good Chuba did here these last couple weeks with Andy Dalton under center, with this offense actually moving and maybe putting up some points every week. Jonathan Brooks, 74% owned on sleeper. They haven't announced his practice window open yet, at least anything that I've heard of yet. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. But you know, a little less ownership than Chubb. I have him stashed in one of my leagues, or actually a couple places. But yeah, so take a look at it, because if Chuba's doing that well, Brooks should be able to do even better, as long as Dalton stays.
67% Yahoo, 66 ESPN. So you got a better shot at him.
For sure. Yeah, go grab one of them. For sure. Let's see. Robert said he is 4-0 with the CMC Love and Adams team in a super flex. Ooh, that's tough. Man, it's a lot of injuries. Overcoming there, making those move on the wire. That's what we're here for. All right, so let's get into it, man. Rashee Rice dealing with this devastating injury. It was the worst thing that happened over this weekend. I've been so sad about it. You know, I was actually kind of happy. I was in a big time trade negotiation for, you know, all week. Almost acquired him. Ended up getting a package of Rashad White and Chris Godwin for, I don't know, like a first and a second or something like that. I just needed a running back really in that league, because I was dealing with Pacheco and CMC. But, you know, what do you think about this Rashee Rice injury, man? I mean, I just kind of want to spend at least a second here on it. What are your thoughts? Were you invested in Rice at all, or
yeah, I got a lot of them in the best ball and other leagues.
Okay.
And yeah, but, you know, not good. Something good to see. I mean, it was just a terrible play altogether. Mahomes gets intercepted. He comes back around, tries to like block the guy, and you know, Rashee Rice comes from the backside. Next, you know, he's taking his own guy out, like friendly fire right there. Worst case scenario, man. I'm telling you,
that was the worst. It was all on Mahomes.
Mahomes
just wrecked him.
Somehow Chris Collinsworth would have turned that into like a good play for Mahomes. Like,
right?
That's hilarious. But I think it does help Kelsey. I hope, because he's been in such a slump. Hopefully, he gets more looks. Obviously, by just attrition there.
Best game of the year so far.
Yeah,
that last game.
So hopefully, that's, you know, signs to come that Kelsey will come back. I mean, it's unfortunate that that's what it took, but quite honestly, that's probably what's happening. Honestly, I've seen some plays that basically Mahomes is just not playing well. Kelsey's actually wide open. He's creating the separation, and he's a lot of guys are just like on ESPN where you're just talking like they're showing some film. They're like, the dude's open. I mean, it's like wide open, but he's open enough that he could get him there. You know what I mean? Like, he's just missing the shots. He's just like, instead of like taking that pass, he's like running himself or doing whatever. Mahomes is not playing 100%. So maybe it's a lot like last year where they kind of just start stepping it up when they need to. But, you know, I guess, again, the beneficiary is Kelsey, I think, out of there, because I don't think anybody in the receiving corps is getting any too much better. Maybe some Xavier Worthy will start getting some more shots, see what happens with him. They could start working in some plays with them or something like that. That would be nice.
Yeah, I don't think Juju's the answer. I kind of like Watson. He's always kind of had games here and there. I think Mahomes trusts him. So we'll talk about him. I'm sure I do have him on. Just full disclosure, I have him on my waiver ad list, so we'll chat about him here in a little bit. But yeah, so just, totally devastating, man. Wish him the best, of course. I mean, you know, some people were making some comments about, you know, oh, he, you know, got away with hitting somebody, karma, you know, this and that. That's what he gets. But, you know, we're here just to talk about the fantasy impact of these things. So we'll stick to that side of the fence. But yeah, brutal blow.
I'm trying to see which Watson you were talking about, actually.
Huh? Justin Watson, their wide receiver there, number 84.
Justin?
Yeah, Justin Watson. So, you know, he played.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Yeah, he played 52% of the snaps week 1, had 1 catch for 25 yards. 45% of the snaps week 2, went 2 catches on 2 targets for 22 yards. Week 3, he had 2 targets, 1 catch for 13 yards, but only played 39% of the snaps. But this game went against the Chargers when Rice got hurt. He bumped up all the way up to 69% of the snaps. Went 2 for 3 for only 27 yards. But again, that snap percentage is what I'm kind of looking at. Now, it was on the fly. So who knows what, you know, may be able to happen. But again, these are guys you're taking a flyer on. He's attached to Mahomes. We'll see what happened. But I heard some crazy stats today. I think it was on like Fantasy Pros that Mahomes hasn't, and I don't know if this is in 4-point or 6-point. It must be in 6-point. Or I'm sorry, in 4-point, because I'm pretty sure he scored over 20 this year in 6-point. But in 4-point, he hasn't had a over 20-yard or 20-point game since like week 8 of last year. Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So kind of interesting. So anyway, all right. So that's what she writes. Fallout. I wanted to spend a little time on that. We'll fly through the rest of these here. Packers wide receiver Christian Watson looks like he's dealing with a high ankle sprain. Matt LaFleur said he'll be out most likely a week or so. I don't know exactly what that means. We know high ankle typically means about potentially up to 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how serious it is. Some folks can maybe come back in that 2 to 4 week time, but typically for a receiver, especially for one of his size, already having those kind of hamstring issues and all that. And I put the juju out there. Remember, I don't know if you was in a group chat with you, but I was like, of all these hamstring injuries with like Devontae and AJ Brown, everybody like this getting hamstring injuries, I was like, how come Christian Watson's the only one that didn't get it? And of course, as soon as I said
that,
it,
right? Yeah.
Reaper came out, man. I forget the power I have sometimes.
Start messing people's lives up over here, man.
Exactly. So sorry about that to all of us.
So another guy who's benefiting though, Dontavian Wicks and Romeo Dobbs.
Yeah, we'll get into those guys for sure.
Wicks really came up.
Yep. And then you have Giants wide receiver Malik Neighbors dealing with that concussion. So it looks like he said he was kind of fine. They did play on Thursday, which is good. So that maybe there is a chance he plays this Sunday. But we've seen so far most guys who get that concussion, they're out at least a week. Most of the time they're not playing.
Man. That was a weird, like he just kind of fell and gave himself a concussion. I don't know if you watched the play.
Yeah.
But he was trying to go for a catch on the sideline. He did get pushed down slightly by the Cowboys, but honestly, like he just kind of fell out of bounds and like kind of just. I thought he knocked the wind out of himself more so, but then apparently he did kind of move his head enough or whatever. So I think he'll be coming back, man. Like it wasn't like too bad.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean. Like it wasn't like he landed on his head or something. It took a big hit or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
you never know, man. Sometimes you never think. I mean, look at Tua. Like he's on IR. Like he just kind of ran into the guy with his forehead. But I'm just saying, like it does. The concussions don't matter because it's not how it looks. Like looks can be deceiving when it comes to concussions. So
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
So yeah, and just with the way the league is, like if you were to get another concussion, then that's all bad. So they usually have them sit at least a week. So just be aware of that if you're the Neighbors owner. Colts QB Anthony Richardson dealing with that oblique abdominal. Originally a hip pointer. I think he got banged up twice. Came back out, got the second one and was out for the game after that. He seemed to be in good spirits. Sounded like he was going to be able to play. So they'll monitor him throughout the week. Jonathan Taylor came up with a mild high ankle sprain. They said they avoided kind of the long-term type, but he'll be evaluated and potentially not miss a game and be able to play this week on that high ankle. So we'll keep an eye out on that, but be prepared just in case. You have the Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp, who elected not to go on IR. I think is now going to miss his fourth game. They already have him ruled out this week. So that's kind of interesting. So we'll see, where that's going. Maybe he still could potentially be a candidate for IR. You'll still have Puka on IR saying, he was already looking at about a 6 to 8 week return. So he's not close to coming back. So again, we'll see what happens there. On a little bit of good news, Texans running back Joe Mixon and Tank Dell, who missed last week's game. Mixon's missed the last two. Will be day to day. And they're hoping maybe they can come back this week. So we'll see what happens. Browns tight end. Yep. Browns tight end David Njoku dealing with that ankle injury. They said it was a high ankle. He's expected to be back at practice again this week. He was practicing last week, but ultimately was not active. But maybe that means he's getting close. And then the last thing I have here is just we mentioned CMC earlier. Came out kind of later today, kind of just getting worse. They're saying it's the Achilles tendonitis in both legs that he's dealing with. So I don't know, man. I think I'm all out now at this point. Like even for a playoff run, like who knows? But I mean, it's tough. I mean, if you can hold them and it's not hurting you and you're still winning, then great. If you're 4-0, maybe you make a move for him. I'm not giving up much. That value just keeps going down and down and down. Right? Absolutely. Matt Featon, I mean, maybe Justin Fields. We'll get into that here in a second. Maybe Sam Darnold. It's getting interesting. I can't wait to see where I rank Mahomes this week. I may not know for sure, but it is what it is. Alex saying, sadly, he drafted CMC first. A lot of people did, my guy. I guess probably the first year I was happy I didn't get any first picks. Yeah, I had him on a Dynasty team, which is the one that has affected me the most, but I was all like, I don't think I got any pick on all 19 of my teams. I didn't have any pick higher than I think 5. So I had no chance at CMC. So a lot of best ball though. I had him in best ball naturally, but yeah. All right. So that'll wrap up news and notes. Anything else that I maybe missed or you wanted to add or comment on there?
No,
Ready to move on.
I was trying to slip them in as I could.
All right, cool. All right, so let's move on to risers and fallers. Look at you. Perfect. So risers and fallers, man. Week 5. We're gonna, like I said, it's kind of like a sneak peek here into the Wednesday trade show, kind of letting you know who we have rising and falling. We'll just kind of give you our top 3 that Frank and I are kind of keeping our eye on. 3 risers and 3 fallers. Do you want to alternate back and forth, or you just want to say your 3 and give your takes on it?
No, we should alternate. I think give us each other an opportunity, because then we'll steal each other's thunder here.
All right, go ahead. Yeah, so just so you guys know, we don't prepare this together. So like we each come up with at least 6 in case like we take each other's. So yeah, so go right ahead.
So I'm going with Sam Darnold, man. He's still firing it up. I mean, this guy needs to just be literally a starter at this point. It's going for 20 for 28, 275 yards. TD's there. But ended up 21.5 fantasy points this week. And he's just been like literally just steady Eddie over there. I think he's proved himself enough that I would be happy to start him, especially with some of these quarterbacks who just went down or have injuries. You might want to take a look at him. So yeah, that's right. Even last week he was a riser. So this week he's like, after 4 weeks of seeing this,
starting to get kind of legitimate.
He should be a starter. It's legitimate, dude. It's legit. Like we shouldn't take it lightly anymore. You know what I mean? Like somebody could be starting this guy.
All right. Well, I will go with a guy who I have several shares of. Finally had a breakout game this week. Didn't completely take over the backfield, but he just looks like the most explosive player on the team. Or at least at his position. It goes against kind of your guy, but my guy Chase Brown had a little sighting here this week. Granted, it was just against Carolina, so I will take it with a grain of salt. But you like to see his snaps basically doubled from playing only like 20% up to now 40%. Had 15 carries in this game against Carolina. And it wasn't like they were just smacking Carolina. Like it was a back and forth kind of battle until they eventually pulled away from it. But again, 15 carries, 80 yards, scored 2 touchdowns on a 5.33 yard per carry. And sorry, I should have muted. 2 for 3 for 12 catches out of the backfield. Almost every game except for that Kansas City game, he's seen 3 targets per game. So just imagine if he starts getting that, closer to 50 or 60%, what his efficiency could be in this offense. And so, Moss just doesn't look as good, and he could still go down. He's been notorious for getting hurt. So Chase Brown, we'll get into the stuff here, but only 57% rostered. He's available. Go ahead. Who's your next guy?
Let's see. Because you switched it up on me, so it threw me off, but I'm going to go with Jordan Addison.
Ooh, my guy. Oh, my other guy.
Yeah, your other guy there.
Man.
Yeah, he came out, man, 4 for 3, 75 yards at a TD. He was finally getting some looks over there. He looked really good. I'm not sure about this whole suspension thing or what's going on with that. When that's happening there?
With what?
With him. Is he going to be when he's going to be any kind of suspension
Addison?
or whatever?
No, not that anything I was aware of. So
there you go. And we were waiting for him to get his, basically performance going and getting his target shares and everything, So for 72 yards, 14% target share, carried the ball once for 7 yards and the rushing touchdown. So it was nice. 1 receiving, 1 rushing. 2 touchdowns on the day. It was really nice to see. Hopefully you got him on your team, but he's on the way up, man. Let's start putting him in your lineups, put him in a flex play or whatnot.
There you go, Jordan Addison. If you play in the league with me, you don't have him. Don't even check.
No.
And don't even try to come get him. No.
Don't even come look at me.
Exactly. Don't even look at it. All right. So I'm going to go with another guy here, man. He just keeps impressing me. Not on a great offense, but him individually. I'm going to go with a wide receiver on this one. So I started with a running back. But I'll go over to wide receiver here. I'm going to go with BTJ, man. Brian Thomas Jr. Out here getting 9 targets, 6 catches, 86 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, he looks good, man. I mean, he looks like he could take over and be the one on this team. I mean, we've seen Christian Kirk kind of having some bounce back, which is going to be good. I mean, you need to have, still a good slot guy, there as well too, but I don't think it's really going to affect Thomas because they're not, basically sharing in the same part of the field. But each of them scored, last week, and they had CJ Stroud just kind of went down and game-winning drive and snatched the game out from under him right there at the end. Otherwise, they were kind of in it, but devastating loss as far as the team goes. But as far as fantasy goes, Brian Thomas Jr., man, he's been a great flex. Again, putting up 21.9 fantasy points this week. Nice little explosion against a pretty decent Houston defense. So, yeah, Brian Thomas Jr., man. We'll be talking about him in the trade show on Wednesday for sure.
All right, so let's see who else I got as a riser.
And with all these wide receivers going down, man, like he's probably like sneaky, like he's sneaky, man. He's wide receiver 12 right now overall in fantasy. Believe it or not. Go ahead.
No, hey, those are good points. I had a guy that kind of had to come back, but I mean, who's rising right away is Dontavian Wicks over there at Green Bay. Watson went down, so he was a beneficiary of that. We kind of mentioned that earlier. 13-5 for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns over there. Gave you a score of 22.3 fantasy points for the week. Obviously, now that he's the next man up, so he has an opportunity to kind of take over some touches over there. Christian Watson was getting some. Now with Jordan Love back, they had a rough, slow start, but I mean they started coming back in that game or whatnot later on. So. They had to fire up some points because it wasn't pretty in the beginning, but the second half of the game was a lot better for Lev and the offense in general. And we want to shout out to Romeo Doubs and Reed. Also, basically everybody over there is going to hopefully eat better and have better days ahead of them because they had when Love was down, it was kind of rough pickings, and only Reed was really producing any kind of sort of just flex play options at this point. Now, Wicks and Romeo Doubs should be options as well, even as flex or starters on some people's teams.
For sure. And it just makes me even more sad seeing that 0 in my lineup with Watson and seeing Wicks go off because that could have been Watson. I mean, that could have been Watson in that game. So, yeah. Brutal.
That's the worst case scenarios.
Brutal. After waiting 2 weeks to finally get Love back and then just gets taken out like that. So, and it looked bad, man. It looked bad. But yeah, Wicks for sure. I'm sure we'll talk about him here. Probably the number one. I don't know. We'll get into it, but probably a top waiver ad this week for sure. All right. So my next guy, my third guy I'll go with here. It was kind of tough for me to decide between these two. Really trying to decide between Jaden Daniels, who we still had as a riser last week. So maybe I'll just flip over. I'll just give Daniels his due. I mean, he does have 2 tough matchups here, Cleveland and Baltimore. If he does good against them, then all right, that'll definitely make it legit, but I like his floor. But I'll go with at least, let's go with Tucker Kraft. Isn't that who it is? Tucker Kraft? Tyler Kraft, whatever. It's Tucker Kraft. Yeah, Tucker Kraft. All right, I knew. There we go. We had like Turner and Tucker. We had all these like mess ups going on from this Friday show, so that was going through on the group chat this weekend. So kind of got in my head there for a moment. But yeah, man, Tucker Kraft. So looks like he's playing pretty well. Bumped up to 86% of the snaps this week after playing 96 for the week 1 with Love against Philly. Only played 80 and 67 the next 2 games, but back up to 86 here this week. Gets 9 targets, 6 catches, 53 yards, and a touchdown. Just that 6 for 53 is good enough, and then you get the touchdown on top of it since he is part of an offense. Again, missing Watson, obviously Wicks and some of these other guys could step in. But again, just the way the tight end position is right now, you're looking for anything possibly off the waiver wire instead of just taking donuts from Andrews every week like I am. Like, I know as soon as I sit him too, like he's gonna score a touchdown. So I don't know, man. I don't know if I could wait all year for it, but it's tough. But go check out Tucker Kraft. We'll talk about him more when we get into waivers, but he's definitely someone I saw rise here this week. So let's get into some fallers, man. We'll try to get through it here a little quicker. Fallers, man. Who you got as your first faller?
Still Anthony Richardson, even though he got injured in this one too. But I mean, it's still just looking good.
I try to stick away from the guys who are injured because naturally guys who are injured are kind of
Yeah,
a little
but
more
I mean,
hurt.
it was still just.
But you're
like,
saying before pre-injury,
even
he was
before that.
stock.
Let me give you a guy who's not injured. We'll have on my team who's just dropping just crap everywhere. Brandon Ayuk, man, I'm done with this guy.
There you go.
You got to move
That's a
on with
good
this guy. Another game with 2 targets, 5 targets, 2 receptions, 48 yards. That's it. 4.8, man. That's it. That's all you get from this guy. And I don't know. I forget how much they're paying him, but it's ridiculous amount of money to basically have 4 stinkers, like literally in a row. You thought he was going to be, get better after he signed, or just leave. It's been long enough.
Pick up
now.
where you left off, right?
Especially with the CMC injury, the whole everything's been going on. Next, Jawan Jennings just like the new up and coming guy, and this guy's just faded into nowhere. So I mean, it's crazy. I hate when they pay guys and they just like super underperform like this. It's ridiculous.
And you were high on him, man, right in draft
Oh
season.
yeah,
The
I
one
was
taking the
hoping
chance
that.
on him.
I
He
took
ends
plenty
up
of chances
scoring.
on this guy. It's ridiculous.
Worked out perfect, just no performance behind it. So remember, he didn't play. He wasn't there. Working
That's
out
what
on
I
his
get for
own.
picking up a freaking Niner.
There you go. There it is. Tell me
It's
how
terrible.
you really feel. Tell me how you really feel. Good stuff. All right, so I'll go with my one of my followers. I'm gonna go with Patrick Mahomes, man. The guy I was talking about earlier.
Oh,
Pat
right?
Mahomes. He's falling right now. I don't know if I'll have him as a top 12 quarterback. Is he startable in 1 QB leagues? I mean, got guys like Daniels still showing out, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith putting up career nights.
Bakerfield is like number 1 right
I
now.
mean, yeah, Baker. I mean, everyone. Like they're all putting up points here over Pat Mahomes. So it's tough to see, at this point. But what else are you supposed to do? Maybe you do have to look elsewhere. I mean, it's a decent floor, like 17, 18 points. But we're used to this guy's. We thought he was going to throw for 5,000 yards this year with his receiving core, and now it's no better than it was even last year, possibly worse. So, yeah, I mean, Pat Mahomes, he's fallen. We'll talk about it more on Wednesday when we talk buy, sell, hold. He'll be talked about for sure. All right, so who you got for your next faller?
Mark Andrews, another guy. Just you drafted him 4 or 5 rounds here, and just literally a goose egg. Did nothing. Absolutely nothing. No catches. One target, I think it was, that I remember seeing, and that he dropped. I mean, it just doesn't look like his old self again. You got a little bit of Isaiah Likely, who didn't do nothing either, really, to speak in that game as well. It just like nothing's going on. Literally, 1 target last 2 games, each one target, nothing, so to speak, to write. Just say anything about that. Like, I don't even know what to say at this point. I'm like, he's almost droppable to me. Like, I'm like to that point here.
Right. Yeah, it's getting there for sure. I'll go with my next faller. I'm gonna say, can I cheat again and say like first round running backs not named Saquon Barkley if you took him in the first, like CMC, Bijan, Brees Hall. They're doing nothing right now. I don't know what's going on. I mean, we thought Bijan's going to get the CMC, type treatment in this offense. Have yet to see it. He's getting outplayed or produced by Tyler Algier. Brees Hall's getting outproduced and outplayed, and just looks like just Braylon Allen looks like he took over this backfield. Just he's huge. He's this big dude. He's running in the rain, like bowling people over. Like
I picked up some of Braylon Allen. Man,
yeah, Brees Hall went from being like literally the potential RB1 overall CMC type to like just a third down back at this point, who's just catching the most targets out of the backfield, but really not producing on the ground at the moment. I mean, I don't know what it is.
It was so explosive last year too. Just a couple touches,
and that was
like
coming off the ACL.
Runs, just like taking off everywhere. We're like, yes.
So
and I had high hopes for this guy. I almost wanted to draft him over, CMC and other people, because I just felt like they never repeated on being the number 1 running back. I was like, well, let's get this guy a shot.
The correct answer was Saquon so far up to week 4, but there's been so much carnage that we're just like, we don't even know what's going to happen next week. So we'll see. All right. So who do you got as your next faller?
Another tight end that I want to mention.
Sticking with tight ends, huh? I mean, all the tight ends suck. You're really rubbing it in there.
I mean, it's another guy that got drafted up high. That's like 3rd, 4th year in a row that we have high hopes for Kyle Pitts. I hope everybody's learned their lesson. 3 targets, 0 catches. Literally had 2 more targets than Mark Andrews, and still couldn't haul one in. I hope I'd say we're done with that guy. I wouldn't be dropping him. I've not carried that load. I mean, you're almost better off picking up like you're just talking about Tucker Kraft and Pat Frairboots of the world and things like that. The guys that went so many rounds later that are just at least they're getting a couple touches, some yardage, or get a touchdown here and there. That you know what I mean? Like that's all you can need. That's all you're wanting from these tight ends. Like at this point, it's just not what it had been. You know what I mean? Like the tight end landscape grows and had a crescendo with Kelsey last year, Sam Laporta, and Trey McBride, and Oranges are still doing all right, and all these guys were like, oh yeah, now we could start them like wide receivers. They went right back to waiver wire, whoever you want to try to start that week in the matchup.
Out there.
Yeah, just throw somebody out there to match it. It's no different at this point.
You got like third string tight ends scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, it's like what happened, dude? What happened?
Gotta love it. Fantasy football, man. It's here. We're in full swing here. 4 weeks down, five coming up. So let's see how we go. All right, so we'll keep it moving here. I'll go with my last faller that I have this week. I'm gonna go with. It's really a tough pick for me. That's actually who I was possibly going to go with here. But
those guys, yeah.
I'm going to go with a guy who I wasn't big on anyway. And it's almost kind of like I told you so, man. And just because he made one of the worst plays that I saw almost over the weekend. And that's going to be Zamir White, man. In this Raiders offense. Like, he literally coughed up the ball late when they were trying to go in and fumble return for a touchdown. Almost cost them the game. Defense held up actually and allowed them to still win. But I don't know how you can continue starting Zamir White in your lineup. So only played 59% of the snaps after only playing 22% the week before against Carolina. I did see 17 carries, but only 50 yards for 2.94 carry. Did see one target, but no catches. I can't do it. So,
right.
Yeah, Zamir White.
We need to have like a gong or something like wah, 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 wah on these guys.
Yeah, we'll get some soundtracks going in here. Some sound bites. All right, good stuff. All right, so that's risers and fallers. So real quick, while we get this switched over, why don't you tell them about the folks over at Underdog?
Yeah, so Underdog's the best place to play, easiest place to play fantasy sports. We enjoy their baseball draft tournaments, and we do live stream them all off season. So join the best ball leagues. Where you just draft a team and there's no, long-term commitment, no waiver wires, no trades, no weekly lineups. You just set it and forget it, and you come back and collect your money if you are so, lucky enough to get a good team. Right now, some shares are looking rough with this Rashi Rice situation. So I just want to throw that out there because I have plenty of shares in that best balls, man. But right now we have the in-city season pick'ems where you do pick higher or lower on player stats, like total yards, touchdowns, things like that. So that's, those are always fun. I do those all season long. So sign up, use the promo code GETRIGHT. Check out, you'll receive a 50% deposit match, now up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So, I think they have weekly specials and basically free picks that you get once a week of a guy that, just, X number for passing yards or half a yard rushing or half a yard passing, that's like basically a gimme. Just kind of get you started. So check them out. Go to underdogfantasy.com, download the app on your app store, and just go check out the pick'em contests right now, and then join us next year during the off season and do the best ball drafts.
For sure, absolutely. Underdog, go check them out. Yeah. All right, so let's move on here, and we'll move on to what we came here tonight for, and let's talk about those waiver ads here, going through our top waiver ads by position, kind of letting you know some guys who we're thinking about, at each position. We'll go through kind of their roster percentage for those of you guys in, more shallow leagues or as well as deeper leagues. So hopefully we have a couple guys here for you in between. So again, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. We are starring them there, and we will get to them when we get to our live Q&A segment. Towards almost coming up here, not too long from now. So drop them in there if you want us to get to them right away. You can drop us a super chat. We'll stop what we're doing and get right to your question. And it supports the show. Man. We appreciate it. Yeah, we don't mind. All right, so let's get into these QB top waiver ads by position. I'll let you go ahead and go first because I think I had your guy here at the top of my list.
Well, he does. He has Sam Darnold at the top of the list. that I mentioned as my riser there, 60%, 62% owned on sleeper. I mean, like I said, he's just been putting up 3 touchdown games, and just basically has proved himself as a starter. It goes to show you what a system and good coaching can do for you.
And O'Connell and
Yeah,
Justin Jefferson.
yeah. No, I mean, you can't go wrong with them.
And he's getting
been-
Hawkinson back and just got Addison back, dude. Come on.
Yeah, and it's got Addison looked really nice, man. I'm telling you. Just this last game, he went 20 for 28, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns. Did get 1 INT there, but I mean, finished up with 21.5 fantasy points. He's got you over 20 fantasy points for 3 straight weeks. So that's good starting production as far as I'm concerned. And he does have a tough game coming up though, in the Jets and Detroit. Basically, because he's got the Jets bye week, then Detroit. But I mean, sometimes you know those kind of games become shootouts. I mean, the Jets didn't look too great this last weekend anyway, so I mean, it may not be so bad.
And they're more a run stopping D. Obviously, they have Sauce, but he has JJ, so they may cancel each other out, and we might see the best against the best, and that's always great.
Right.
So good call there with Sam Darnold. Your QB4 overall right now in fantasy, QB4 and 6 point per passing touchdown leagues, only 62% rostered right now. So he's for sure going to be in my QB1. I can hear you. Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I can't hear you though.
All right. Well, fix it and come back. Fix it and come back.
Grab it.
All right. So we'll get that worked out. Sorry about that. Sometimes we get excited here and pull out our cords. But yeah, we see you there. And Joe, got your question starred, and we'll get to you here shortly. So I'll go into my one of my other top QB waiver wire ads, and that's going to be Justin Fields. So Justin Fields has been looking, pretty good. Again, you want to talk about good coaching, being in a good system, being around a winning culture. I think that makes a difference. Obviously, Tomlin not having a losing season, in his tenure. And we just keep seeing Justin Fields improve, going from 11 points to 13 points to 20 points and now 33 points against Indy, starting to show that top end potential that he has, making the most attempts per game at 34, completed 22 passes for 312 yards. Pickens has a big day going over 100 yards, has a bona fide, alpha one there. 312 yards, 1 touchdown. They're still not scoring too many touchdowns, but he did get the 3 touchdowns on the ground, 10 carries or 10 attempts for 55 yards. He hasn't ran that much since week 1, where he had 14 carries for 57 yards. But again, this time finding the end zone. And because he has that passing game to go with him, it's going to open up those rushing lanes for him as well. Najee's not doing anything on the ground. Warren was out in this game. So they're kind of putting it on Fields and Pickens' shoulders and relying on that defense. So I think he is going to be a good start there. So we'll go from there. Let's see. Tyler Sperry, I see your question in here. We'll get to it here shortly. Make sure, let me know if you guys can hear me. Frank's saying he can't hear me.
I got you now.
Oh, you're good now?
Okay. I came back in. Now I'm good.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So that's my QB, Justin Fields. You pick Sam Darnold. You want to get at least one more quarterback in here, or are you ready to move on?
We should give an opportunity for Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket, still throwing it out there.
The Red Rifle.
We talked
Let's go.
let him, come him off the bench to cover over there. I think he's improved the whole team over there in Carolina. Everybody from QB, wide receiver to running back on down has gotten some better opportunities. It wasn't as pretty a game as last week. Against Cincinnati, 25 of 40, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and INT. Still gave you 16 points. It's got Chicago, then Atlanta, and Washington. Then you finally faces Denver, which is tough, real good, tough defense there. So, hey, if you again, injury bug or whatever's happened to your team, he's definitely widely out there. Yahoo 14%, ESPN 9%, worth a shot if you need somebody on your team.
For sure. I like that call there. Let's see. I mean, Joe Flacco, it looks like A-Rich is going to play. He's only 3% in on sleeper, so I'll just kind of throw that out as an honorable mention. If he can't go, Flacco, we saw what he did last year, literally won me 2 leagues. And helped me place, 42nd place? I took that out of the read, so I don't remember. I think it was 42nd place at a 70,000 on underdog because he was thrown to David and Njoku, man. So there we go.
I didn't mind Anthony. I like to see him out there. Anthony instead of Anthony Richardson, Michael Pittman did better. There's some of the receivers just
Josh Downs went off.
Josh Downs went off exactly. I was like, not to wish bad on the dude, but I'm like, maybe he should sit a year and check this guy out.
Just have him sit a whole another year. So you already said all last year. Just have him sit a whole other year.
I don't know if he didn't get it, but
he's only played like 5 games total in his whole career.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Frank's like, sit him. Oh, Kendall would flip over on you. But that's all right.
Sit A-Rich, dude. You kidding me? You got to sit him, dude. He's not startable at all.
That's tough. All right, so I'm ready to move on. You want to go on to some running backs here for the sake of time, so we can get these folks questions. Absolutely. So let's talk about Week 5 running back waiver ads. I'm going to go with the guy I mentioned earlier, Chase Brown, 57% owned on sleeper. Like I mentioned, I have him probably as he'd be like my number 2, number 3 kind of waiver ad right now. Gets Baltimore, but then gets the Giants and Cleveland and Philly, Las Vegas. So has a pretty decent schedule. Playoff schedule's a little tough. Tennessee, Cleveland, Denver. So I wouldn't go too crazy for him, but could be a nice depth piece here as the position thins out as we get through some of these bye weeks coming up here this week. And speaking of which, we do have 4 teams on a bye this week. So Detroit, Los Angeles Chargers, Philadelphia Eagles, and Tennessee Titans will all be on a bye this week. So that's real important to be able to pick some of these guys up. So my next guy, who's probably my number 1 ad, I think this guy is in the process of potentially taking over this backfield. That's going to be Bucky Irving, man. 62% owned on sleeper, so still under that 65% threshold. We've been telling you guys for like 3 weeks ago, pick this guy up. So if you haven't already, you're going to have to pay for him now after this last performance. I still think Rachaad White's still playable, but it's going to be more like if Tampa Bay can keep producing the type of numbers they are, they're going to be like Detroit they're going to be like a poor man's version of Gibbs and David Montgomery over there between Rachaad White and Bucky Irving. So go check him out, man. Bucky Irving. Who do you got on your waiver running backs for Week 5?
I'm going to go with the low-hanging fruit and Kareem Hunt, man.
I left one
Carson
for you.
Steele went over there and just fumbled the ball all over again, just like he did in the first game. I think they lost all confidence in him. As soon as they could get Kareem Hunt in, they got him in. Went 14 attempts, 69 yards, 2 receptions on 3 targets for 16 yards. Only 8.5 points on the day, but if you keep him in there with the KC offense, we all know what they can do. He's familiar with them. So, let's see if he's the next guy up. I think it's going to be him and Samaje Perine. I don't know if CEH is coming back yet, but he's worth a shot. I know that your Carson Steele's done. It's over. It was a good story. It's fun to hear about the alligator that he has and all that stuff, but the real football players and throw Kareem in there. So, he's a waiver wire ad for sure. I'll be looking for him.
For sure. And all in one show, I see your question here, man. We will get to our Q&A section, so just hang out for a little while. If you want us to get to it right away, you could drop us a super chat, and we'll do it in between these. But we're going to go through wide receivers, tight ends, and then we'll get to our live Q&A. So drop your questions in the chat now, and we'll get to them as soon as we finish this segment. All right, so the next running back I have here is going to be Justice Hill. Only 28% owned here on sleeper. Obviously they're lacking weapons over there. Just really, they gave Henry the ball, 27? He had 27 touches in this game. I think Lamar only threw for 15 attempts. But Justice Hill looks like he's a big part of, this offense. He's being worked in. He's seeing the field. Didn't have the most snaps this week at 35, actually his lowest of the season, but had literally his best day. 6 catches on 6 targets for 78 yards and finds the end zone. Only 4 carries for 18 yards. That's not what he's there for. But that work out of the backfield, especially with that line the way it is, all banged up, and these receivers aren't getting open because they're not the greatest talent. Although I do like Zay Flowers, but they can just double team him and
Zay
take him.
Flowers and Mark Andrews should be doing something, dude.
Yeah. And so, but what's happening now is Justice Hill is the one benefiting from that. Maybe Andrews isn't getting that separation and things like that. So again, with bye weeks and things coming up, with all the injuries to the position, and just to have some type of depth of anyone that you might be able to just kind of throw in on a spot start if someone gets hurt in pregame warmups like Jeff Wilson did today, you could throw Justice Hill in there
Right.
and he might have a game. So, I don't even think he'd win the game, or he'd win the job if Henry went down or anything like that. I think they'd go get more, power back. I think he has a defined role in this team. And again, he's not going to score you 21 each week. He's probably going to be closer to that 10-point range. But again, if he does find the end zone and get upwards of, 4 to 6 targets, they're going to be high value in that offense that's trying to protect against everyone else. So he has a chance to get at it. So Justice Hill, only 28% owned. Throw a little fab on him. See if you can get him. Go ahead. Who else you got?
What's the other guy? Rico Dowdle, man. My guy
There it
over
is.
here at the
There it is.
Cowboys, man. The guy's just kind of basically taking over the backfield. I mean, it's not a lot of touches, but they're quality touches. 11 carry for 46 yards here, 4.2 yards per carry average. Had a long run 9. 1 receiving pass for a touchdown, 15 yards on that.
And didn't he have a rushing touchdown, a long one called back, a 28-yarder?
Yeah,
Pretty sure he had
some
a one
crazy
called
numbers.
back.
Yeah, it was penalties that were just taking points off the board for him, unfortunately. But it happens. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? Even that receiving touchdown was in question, so it was oh, who's going to keep that one or not? But yeah, obviously he's been kind of creeping up the touches and just everything else over than Dallas just kind of taken over. Zeke did get a couple touches here and there. He did run 5 touches for 19 yards. Had a couple good first down runs, but that was about it. I mean, it's going to be Rico Dowdle moving forward. Albeit it's not the scoring that we've seen in the past from Dallas Cowboys running back in the past and that we want, but hopefully as the season progresses, it gets better and, they have more trust in him, have better plays for him. And actually this offense even, it isn't so pass heavy, right? So, give him some help here with the run for the quarterback and be able to get CD open more and things like that to do some play action and whatnot. So that'll help. So yeah, Rico Dowdle, 56% owned on Sleeper. You're looking at 48% Yahoo, 43% on ESPN. So it should be available in your leagues.
For sure. Someone else to take a look at here, and then we could probably move on after this, unless you have another one. I'm going to say Tink Bigsby. A lot of people are starting to be down on ETN right now. I'm personally not, but as the analyst, I have to kind of just read what the market's kind of saying. Bigsby still only saw 29% of the carries. Everyone's tripping because he busted one big run, and finished with 7 for 90. Again, but of that 90, 58 of it came on one play. So if you take that off, he had, 6 carries for 40 yards, which, isn't totally bad, but isn't off the charts, great.
Good numbers on
either. But I mean, ETN still playing the snaps. He is going to be the pass catcher. This is low snaps. He saw 50%, but that's because he didn't play in the first half because he was dealing with whatever that shoulder injury was. When the game was on the line, he was in there. He's in there at 2-minute drills. And I still think missed one potential touchdown as well too. You hate to see his first single digit scoring week at just 7 points. But at the same time, he played his least amount of snaps. So you'd hope that would get over. They get Indy next, Chicago, New England, Green Bay, Philly. I'm still plugging him in my lineups, but to handcuff him, Bigsby's look good, running on the ground. So should anything happen to ETN, I think he could be the guy. Or if this turns into a high volume offense and they need a goal line type back, he could potentially work in there. But, I still think he's worth rostering, at least at this point. I'm not going crazy or anything, but he's a stash.
He's a stash.
which is why we mentioned him kind of last or second to last. So, you got anybody else you want to mention, or are you ready to move on? I have an honorable mention. I don't want to go a whole thing about it, but Roshan Johnson, Tyler Algier, yeah, just take a look at those guys. Yeah, Walker looked amazing. So, yeah, everyone that thought Charbonnet was taking his job, they're tripping, and that's what the Seahawks told you tonight. You're all tripping. All right, so let's move on. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. We will get to them.
And, got wide receivers and tight ends.
Questions, yeah, we'll get through it. So go right ahead, man. Let's get into wide receivers for week 5. Who we adding off the wire? Who's your number 1 receiver?
Well, shoot, man. From what I see in Dontavian Wicks, man, it's just
Christian
slowly
Watson
owned
injury.
over there. You know what I mean? Jordan Love's back. Seems to like this guy a lot. He got quite a few targets, and he's getting quality touches. I mean, just he's just a beneficiary of an injury. So, 13 targets, 5 receptions, 78 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, the targets is what stands out to me. 13 targets. Even though he only got 5, I mean that'll get improved. But I mean, you with those kind of numbers, it only gets better, right?
Mm-hmm. And he's had a 2 touchdown game before. He did it in Chicago last year, week 18. He's been known to do some things like that. So Dontavian Wicks, he's probably my number 1 wide receiver ad right now as well. Another guy I'm keeping an eye on is going to be Wan'Dale Robinson. I know we said kind of avoid these Giants players, but for whatever reason, they're starting to look somewhat competent. Maybe things are starting to come together. We'll see. Could be a mirage. Could be them playing tricks on me. Right when I say something good, they're going to show me who they really are. But Wan'Dale Robinson looked good, man. Again, we say follow the targets. He's earning a decent target share there. Obviously, the defense is so bad. They're going to be in plus matchups where they're going to be throwing the ball. So to have another legitimate threat out there in Wan'Dale is nice. I think he saw like 13 targets, if I will. I think 9 catches for 13 or something like that off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, 45% owned on Sleeper. Definitely someone I would take a look at.
Yeah. So the next
Again,
guy that we got,
ton of guys on bye week. So you never know. They get Seattle this week, and we saw how they were taking advantage of there. So yeah, right. 11 for 14, 71 yards. It's just he's not going to get touchdowns. This is more for PPR. Go ahead.
And another guy that I got, Josh Downs, dude. Indy there. He went 8 for 82 yards and a touchdown on Sunday there. Obviously, with Flacco at the helm here, it could look better for him. I'm not sure how well he will fare with A-Rich in there, but he is only 20% owned on Yahoo, 9% on ESPN, and 29% on Sleeper. Sleeper's always a little higher, again, because of the best ball. So, I like the other guys. It's more realistic, I think, that he's out there. Most people that are playing redraft, it's 20 to 9%, so very low percentage owned. It just came back from injury and whatnot, so he looked good.
Good stuff. My next wide receiver that I'd be taking a look at here. Who did you go with? I wasn't listening to tell you the truth. Okay, I thought so.
Josh Downs.
There you go. I'll go with. I wanted to make sure I didn't say the same thing. I was going through the chat. I was trying to start the chat to make sure we didn't get a stupid chat.
I know. We have a lot of things that we do in the background.
Yeah, I trust you, man. I trust you. Yeah, I trust you giving your take, man. Plus, then if I don't hear you, I don't have the need to argue with you and waste a little bit of time. But not argue, but you know what I mean. A little friendly debate. All right, so we'll move on. I wasted just the same amount of time anyway. Justin Watson, man. So there has to be someone maybe that emerges here out of the Kansas Litty debacle with Ray Rice here in this injury. So Watson could potentially be this guy. Like I said earlier in the show, Watson has a little bit of chemistry with Mahomes. We've seen it, happen. I remember vividly the first 3 weeks of last year saying, why do they keep throwing it to Watson? Throw it to Rashee Rice. Remember that? I was just screaming from the mountaintops. Eventually they did once Rashee, proved his talent and his worth. Maybe Watson doesn't have that talent upside, but he has his trust and Andy Reid's trust to be out there. Still, makes a couple plays here and there. He's literally 0% owned on sleeper. So he could literally just be free, throw $1, maybe $0 bid on him. Maybe a couple bucks if you want to. He's not worth a waiver priority add. Someone maybe you could just add after the fact on free agency. But again, attach the Mahomes in this offense with literally no other pass catchers. Hollywood Brown's gone. Isaiah Pacheco's gone. Like all their playmakers are gone. Kelsey's old, right? Like we're just waiting. Like someone needs to step up in this offense. Is it going to be Xavier Worthy? They have Juju. They have McCord Haldeman. I mean, they have a couple pieces here, but no one screams talent. So they might have Mahomes try to play hero ball.
Sky Moore will come back and do something.
Sky Moore. I mean, who knows what's going on, right? So either way, Watson might just be worth a silly little flyer. So anyone else you want to mention here? Are you ready to move on?
No,
we're right at that hour mark. All right.
We're good with these guys.
So let's get into tight ends here really quick, and then we'll end this thing out. So tight end week 5 waiver ads this week. I'll just go with the guy I mentioned earlier in Tucker Kraft over at Green Bay. So 8% owned on sleeper. Again, I had him as one of my risers this week. Looks like he's kind of outplaying Musgrave here. A lot of people were kind of higher on him than Musgrave once they saw what he did when Musgrave was out towards the end of last year. So maybe this is him now finally coming back and being relevant, of course, with Jordan Love back. That's going to help. I don't think Jordan Love's going to throw the ball like 50 times, 56 times or whatever he threw this game. So maybe that could be an issue there. But again, right now we're scraping for tight end, anything that we can put in there because I've been taking donuts, like I said, from Andrew. So I don't mind taking a flyer on someone like Tucker Kraft in this offense, and we see what they're capable of. So who else you got? Anyone else worth mentioning at the tight end position for waivers?
My guy up here. I was actually going to start him this week over here. Taysom Hill coming back from the injury, going back into his old roots, playing as a tight end instead of quarterback. I didn't do much in receiving. He actually was rushing there.
I was going to say
4 yards.
He's RB2 on that team.
Yeah, exactly right. 6 attempts, 24 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the day. Just basically getting goal line touches there. So, again, the Swiss Army knife that they have over there in New Orleans does it again on the ground as a rusher. Next week, maybe he'll be receiving, and who knows the week after that, maybe he'll throw a couple passes in there. Because they do have some plays designed for him. So only 29% owned on Sleeper, 39 on Yahoo, 27 on ESPN. So should be widely available. And another, just like we were talking about earlier with all these tight ends, he's just worth a shot. Just throw in there and see what happens. They are playing KC next week. So, maybe it's a shootout between New Orleans and KC. I know that they've had a couple down games here in New Orleans, and they had a hard start, so maybe they'll come back. 2 wins, 2 losses. Who knows what happens against KC? They're still, I believe, undefeated, right, by the miracle of God and the help of the refs. So, whatever.
Yeah. If anyone has anyone to complain about the refs, the Saints absolutely do. After that debacle a few years back, so.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the Kansas City refs. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the
I thought you were talking about the Saints. Yeah. My bad. I was like, oh yeah, Saints aren't 4-0. All right, good stuff. I only got the tail end of what you were saying that time, so that's why I was half in there. All right, man. So you ready to get into some Q&A, man? Let's do it. We're right on that hour mark, man. We're hitting it. We'll get into some Q&A for you guys here as well. Our live Q&A segment is brought to you by our guys over at trophysmack.com. So if you guys want to take your league to the next level, there's no better way to celebrate a fantasy football championship than doing it with a commemorative ring, customized belts, customized trophies if you just want to go kind of original and old school with it. And then, of course, I think I mentioned the rings already, but those are amazing. And, of course, they have the chains.
Absolutely.
I
actually seen some guy walking around with this trophy similar to this one in Reno before.
See?
It's pretty awesome.
That's what it's all about, man. So make sure you guys go check them out. Take your league to the next level. Like I said, make sure when you go check out, you use that code GETRIGHT. When you do, help support the channel and bring an awesome additional something to play for. Make your league more competitive when you have something like that to play with on top of whatever little binds you're playing with too. So those are always fun to rub it in for that gloating or for the make it go to the head. All right. So let's get into these Q&As, man. So you have one there. You ready to queue up? Go right ahead,
Well,
man.
let me scroll up here because we start all these, and we had Robert Thomas come in here early.
You know, you could just go to the
joining
tab
show.
that says starred, and you could
I
just
did
boom
that
right down there. Oh, okay.
I did that, but I just scrolled up in that time. Give me a second.
Perfect.
Anyway, so we got Robert Thomas here, and rest of the season, David Montgomery is a top blank RB in PPR redraft leagues. I'm going to go with
You're
like
gonna bring it up on the screen. I can't
top,
see that.
for my bad, top
It's all good.
15. Maybe even squeeze it into the top 10. Because the way running backs are going right now, and how many basically top running backs that we were just talking about, CMC, Bijan, not Bijan, I mean Brees and things like that are just underperformance. It's just crazy. So, and David Montgomery, I think got drafted around 7th, 8th round, maybe even 9th, with Gibbs going in round 2, even sometimes in the first round. So it's like, what a value you're getting from this guy. That's why I always kept like, I'm not a fan of Gibbs. It's not that he doesn't play well. It's just the value that you're getting from him versus what you get from David Montgomery, another dude on the same team, basically sharing touches, getting just as many touchdowns. So yeah, I mean, I'm all for him. I think he squeezes into the top 10, but I mean, I think it still falls out because Gibbs does get a little bit more touchdowns, right, at the end of the day. So.
Yeah. And we'll try to rapid fire these more for you guys here so we can get through them. But yeah, I have him as a top 10 running back for the rest of the season. Him and Gibbs are back to back right now. Gibbs is actually outscoring him at 17.8 points per game, where David Montgomery's at 17.4 points per game, but they're basically the same exact guy. Just David Montgomery, you got like 4 rounds later, and we're able to build up some other positions there. So most likely the people with the Montgomery team is probably doing a little better. Just because of the value you got for his production. Again, sitting at your RB9 right behind Gibbs at RB8, which is kind of what we were saying here, all off season. So kudos if you got either one. They're definitely top running back options, and you set and forget it each week. All right. Next one we have here.
Yeah, go ahead. Read it off.
You dropping Mahomes for who?
Ooh.
Are you dropping?
I don't think you can drop Mahomes like that. But you could definitely put him up on the waiver, you know what I mean? Like trade, like not the waiver wire, but trading block. And, get some feelers out there. People will still buy Mahomes. Don't get it twisted. He's not droppable by any means. Do you want to start him? Maybe you could bench him for somebody on your bench.
QB 16 overall right now. I think this is 4 point. But I mean, he doesn't really have that many touchdowns this year. He's only sitting at 6 through 4 games. Dude used to be able to throw 6 in one game. But yeah, so I'm not dropping him for anyone. But ask me who I'm starting over him. I could probably name about 15 or 16 guys I'll start over him next week. Maybe not as many because there's a couple guys on bye week, so maybe at least like 12. I think even with 4 teams on a bye week, I still think I'll have Mahomes outside my top 12 next week.
But
if you're a Mason owner,
if you kind of come up, you can still trade for him. He's tradable, not droppable, tradable.
Yeah. The only problem is you can't trade him really to Kelsey owner because he's not doing great, and Rice is out, so you're not trading for that stack like maybe the Worthy owner, but who knows? If you're a Mason owner, is Garindo worthy handcuffing?
Depends on your depth, but why not?
Yeah, I mean you can handcuff him if you want. I mean, he looks somewhat decent, but let's just hope. As a Niners fan, man, I don't want to go. I don't even want to go there, Andre. I don't want to go there. I don't need both of those guys hurt. We're talking about like 3 or 4 years ago. Like we used to do that all the time with Mostert and Elijah Mitchell and all these guys just dropping like flies and still almost making it. Anyway, don't get me on a tangent. We're trying to rapid fire. Is Mahomes droppable in 1 QB leagues? Definitely not 1 QB. I don't think so. Not quite yet. So he's not droppable. I mean, if he's the worst player on your roster, then yes. But like, I'm not dropping him for like, if you have 2 tight ends, like I'm dropping one of those tight ends.
So he's coming back. Would you start Donald this week against the Jets? I would.
Yeah.
I think he's proven it, and especially with Addison back, I think he has more options than just Justin Jefferson, and he's throwing well. Yeah, I like him. Sam Darnold is QB what for the rest of the season? Let's see. Currently, he's sitting at number 4.
He's sitting at 4 right now.
So by the current landscape, I mean, honestly, he could still stay in the top 10. I mean, if not the top 5. He's one of the only QBs with like 3 touchdown games, or throwing all kinds of crazy numbers up. So I mean, currently he has 932 passing yards, and then Baker Mayfield has more than him at 984. Dak and Gino is already getting into the thousands, but I mean, I'm happy with this performance. I'd stick with them if you have them. Ride them till the wheels fall off. Shoot.
Yeah, and I understand why he's asking though, because or just going back to Darnold. I mean, since these are both Darnold questions with Matt, Jets are giving up the least amount of points right now to the quarterback position. But the quarterbacks that they faced, Brock Purdy week 1, where they lost 32-19, and just Jordan Mason went crazy on the ground. So Purdy, only had 231 yards, no touchdowns. Then they faced Will Levis. Then he faced Jacoby Brissett. Then he faced Bo Nix. So it's not like they faced really any real quarterbacks besides like Purdy, and they just basically ran on him, but he still threw for 231. So he just didn't have the touchdowns because they just ran it in with Mason. So I think Darnold in that offense will be able to put up points against this defense. Again, the only matchup I'm really worried about is Sauce and JJ, and I'm not worried. I can't wait to see it. It's gonna be a good one. All right, so we'll move on here. Individual. Should I trade JSN and Likely for Zach Charbonnet? He has Jonathan Taylor. He had an ankle sprain, so he's kind of worried. So JSN and Likely for Zach Charbonnet.
No.
I'm a no. Yeah, you just saw Ken Walker go crazy. Charbonnet, he'll get a little bit of this and here and there, or if he goes down again, we've seen he can hold it up. But I like JSN. John Taylor
he's getting
looks
targeted
like
quite a
he'll be
bit
okay.
this last game too.
Yeah,
Likely didn't really do nothing. So
yeah, so you can go get maybe like Kareem Hunt, someone like that. Check for Jordan Brooks, someone like that. Before I'd go after Charbonnet with JSN. So that's my only thing.
I mean, you have to go after somebody else besides Charbonnet. Basically, you're going after a number 2 guy that's not really doing too much on his own team. He only had some good touches because Walker was out. So
for sure. Go ahead.
I was this one up here twice, so we should remove that. So Joe Kingsley here, he comes up and says, "Can you rank these wide receivers rest of the season?" He's got Xavier Worthy, Tank Dell, or Jordan Addison, half PPR. I know what Anthony's answer is going to be. It's going to be Jordan Addison.
Yep.
Probably maybe Xavier Worthy at number 2 spot because of the Rice injury. Hopefully, we haven't seen anything yet, but I mean that kind of really helps him. And then you got Tank Dell over there, Houston, which I really like. Honestly, I thought he was going to, he should be, primed to like kind of get going again. So
yeah, but he was hurt, didn't play this week, so that's actually why I have it in that order. If Tank was healthy, I'd probably go Dell, and maybe if I'd seen a little bit with him, maybe a little more. But just like you said, I mean, just that opportunity with Rice for Worthy to kind of get in there as far as rest of season, and that's why he's asking like rest of season. I would put my eggs in the Worthy basket over the Tank Dell basket, just because Worthy has a chance to really take a hold of that receiving wide receiver room, whereas Tank Dell's still playing second fiddle to the stud in Nico Collins and a pesky Stephon Diggs, who's not going away. So there you go.
Which sucks because now we were talking with Kate. We're over here talking about Mahomes and whether we should start him or not. I mean, it's like kind of crazy.
Right.
But you never know, man. These things.
But that has to happen. Like if you're making that bet, like that connection has to work for that to come to fruition. So.
And he did say, or drop Bucky Irving.
Yeah, go ahead, read it off.
No, it was part of his same question for Tyler Sperry. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We moved off of Joe Kingsley. So Tyler Sperry does say, would you drop Ford and Charbonnet? I think that's just for a hit. For Hunt, I guess that's Hunt and Dowdle.
Yeah.
Or drop Bucky Irving. Not dropping Bucky Irving.
Yeah, so you're keeping Bucky Irving for sure. I don't mind dropping Ford with Chubb coming back, but again,
I would rather drop Charbonnet for a Hunt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I would try
Or
to
even
package these
Dowdle, or
guys.
even Dowdle. I would drop Charbonnet for Hunt or Dowdle.
I don't know. I think it's so
personally would.
tough. Like, because I think Ford and Charbonnet as the handcuffs would score more than at least Dowdle, because like Dowdle, even like Zeke was nothing and he's still not really scoring. Whereas like Ford and Hunt, like they're being used in their
Yeah, but we
offense, if
just
that
talked
makes
about
sense.
he get one receiving touchdown, had a rushing touchdown taken away. You put that rushing touchdown on the board, you wouldn't be
Hey,
saying
he's coming. Oh, I know. I'm just
that. Yeah,
saying.
but I'm just saying you
he'll
wouldn't be
coming.
saying that if he had the point.
Yeah, but ifs and buts. I'm just saying.
Well, I
but
mean,
yeah,
with that being said, I mean, we got
it's really
coming
close.
back, so Ford is just going to disappear into nothingness like he did last year.
Yeah, I mean, it just what offense are you betting on? If you want to bet on this Cowboys offense, and the Chiefs offense, like I don't mind that versus the Cleveland offense, which looks kind of awful right now. Ford's like somewhat the only kind of bright spot, him and Cooper. And then Charbonnet, I think his moment's done, but Ken Walker could get hurt any moment, just like we've seen Charbonnet produce in that stead.
Yeah, but I would just take shots at Hunt or Dowdle, though.
Yeah, so I would probably keep Charbonnet still just for a little bit. Maybe you can trade him to the Ken Walker owner before, like maybe you can work it out. I mean, you have all day tomorrow, but I maybe package Ford and Charbonnet to the Ken Walker owner, or maybe go find the Nick Chubb owner and see if you can get something for Ford. 2 for 1, open up a roster spot to be able to pick these other guys up, kind of for free, so to speak, and still get something out of it. So yeah, I would do 2 for 1, open up a spot, and get whichever one you like of those guys on your team. So
there you go.
Good stuff. All right, go ahead.
We got Z Money 15.
Go ahead.
So do I trade Achan? If you want to, yeah.
If you don't think Tua is coming back, but I mean, I think he's probably coming back from what you see and what you hear. Again, nothing's guaranteed in
I mean,
life.
everybody at CV, they're just talking the guys over here at the practice facilities with the team every day. So he definitely wants to come back. Probably maybe one more week. What do you think? Less? I mean, they give
if anything, you're selling Achan on pennies for the dollar right now. So, like for me, I mean, unless you're like 0-4, like you kind of got to just stick it out because you see what he could score when he has competent quarterback play. 23 points week 1, playing only 52% of the snaps, 29.5 points. Week 2, playing 62% of the snaps. And then obviously once, 2 is out and you got this, down to your third string quarterback guy you just signed to the team literally like 3 weeks ago. And he only scores, 5 points. Tennessee's a tough defense, but they do get New England. They come back, they get Indy, Arizona, Buffalo again, but then the Rams, Las Vegas, New England again, like Green Bay. Like I'm not worried about any of that. Yeah. So, and then hopefully by then 2 is back and you'll be all right.
Yeah. By then 2 is back. Hopefully everything's better.
Houston, San Francisco, Cleveland's tough kind of playoff matchup, but again, they're more scared of him than I assume he's scared of them. It's like the fastest guy in the league. Just get him in space. But yeah, I can't trade him yet just because you're not going to get anything close to what he's potentially worth. You're better off just hanging on to him and taking that risk on yourself. Again, unless you're 0-4. All right, so go ahead and read that.
We got Matt Friend here. I'm trying to trade for Josh Allen. I have Richardson and Darnold. The other manager needs wide receivers and tight ends and is offering Bryce Thomas Jr. and Cole Kmet too low, or is Brandon Ayuk alone better? I'd trade off Brandon Ayuk alone better. Like with a heartbeat if I could. He's going to take him.
There's no way anyone in there, right? I mean, you can obviously try to send any trade you want, but I don't care if I was 0-4. I'm not taking Bryce. That's not Bryce Young. It's Brian Thomas Jr. and Cole Kmet. Or is Brandon Ayuk?
Brian Thomas Jr. is on fire right now, dude.
But he's still not. Like, let's hold our horses. Like, Josh Allen just coming off like a 35-point game. Like, I think Josh Allen scored more than all these guys combined last week. Like, I shit you not.
Not last week, dude. He's had like 2 good weeks and 2 bad weeks. Allen's like been hit or miss, dude. Like literally.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, he only had 7 points against Baltimore, but still. Like 38 and 35 points. Like, those are going to win.
Yeah, 31, 30, and then 9 and 7.
Yeah.
Like 2 good weeks, 2 bad weeks.
That package still not doing it because I'm still looking at those 38-point weeks, and if I'm selling Allen, that's what I'm expecting to get back for it. But again, take a shot. I just don't think it'd get done. Maybe if you shot over Brian Thomas Jr. and Ayuk together, and maybe commit. But again, commit's like a guy you get off the waiver wire. Like I'm not trading the number one, like a number one quarterback. Like he's still QB5 overall right now.
Ayuk and commit and see what the guy says. Start the conversation at least.
Yeah, it would need to be at least all three, just to show him you're serious.
I'd say all 3 of them. That's what I said. All 3 of them.
For sure. All in one show says, hello, can I get some advice? He's down bad 0-4. He needs some scenarios to win now. He has A-Rich, Ford, Mostert, Higgins, Waddle, Jennings, Njoku, and Pacheco on IR. That's probably why you're 0-4. The only person who's played all these games for you so far has been Ford. Every one of these guys has missed like multiple games so far this year. Possible trade packages. He really needs a boot player. Thoughts on holding Kelsey or selling? Or is Pollard also a sell high? Like Pollard might be your best running back right now, so I don't think you can really sell him. And I don't think you can afford
sell on Kelsey right now while you sold it high. I would sell on Kelsey high right now.
With the thought of, Rice is down, Kelsey's going to get it. Just stick with the Njoku. He looks like he's coming back. You can't afford to have like a high-end tight end, quote unquote, like that. I think the replacement value, like for what you can trade and get something. And yeah, like you're trying to trade for maybe a piece like Brian Thomas Jr. You might be able to get, if you could, that's just tough. Like sometimes it's just not your year. I hate to say that, but like when you have this many injuries,
pick up guys still
like what do you do? Because nobody wants these guys. They're all hurt.
Maybe
like Higgins is the only one coming back.
Maybe go after Rashid Shaheed. I don't think you can get a guy like Jamo or something like that.
Yeah, not after this game.
Some Khalil Shakir. I don't know.
Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. Just some of those Rashid Shaheed, some of those kind of boomer bust type guys.
Smith, who's down right now. Maybe
you can get but another hurt guy is 0-4. He can't wait. You would just hope Devonta Smith coming back this week.
Yeah.
But who are you going to trade for him? Like who's going to trade Devonta Smith for like Waddle? Like maybe Higgins, just because he's healthy.
But he's got to throw Kelsey in there. Yeah. That's his high trade piece right now.
Yeah. That's really tough, man.
Nobody's going to go for Higgins. Tough. Nobody's going to go for Waddles. Jawan Jennings,
yeah, but Debo's back.
High on him.
Yeah, you eventually will come back.
People will buy. You know what I mean? Like he's a waiver wire ad, anyways.
Yeah,
you love doing that. You love picking up the waiver wire guy and trading him off to somebody.
Yeah, you would have to sell him. You would have to sell him. Their window last week to sell Jawan Jennings was before Debo was announced he was coming back. If you didn't sell him by then, you could
probably still get something, man. I'm telling you.
Maybe.
People won't even think about it.
Yeah. See, like Nino said here, drop Jawan Jennings this week, right? Yeah. Like, he's not, like, he's just like a random wide receiver that might catch some passes.
I'm telling you, that might have took Ayuk's job. I'm not buying all that. See, yeah, he said it's not happening, but what's Ayuk
not happening?
What's Ayuk done?
Bro, he had like one of the biggest catches in a playoff game. Like, they're not just going to end just because he had a couple bad
this
games.
Year, not last year. We're not talking about
it doesn't matter.
We're talking about this year.
It's still politics, man. That ain't gonna happen. I know you want to say all that. You're all a little hurt.
That's why his team's all like
because he's not doing good for you.
He's 2-2.
Yeah. See, now we're getting out of line. Go ahead. Go ahead and read it.
No, we went to Drake. Word should it be about HN as you were starting anymore?
We just kind of talked about all that. Rewind a little bit. I'll tell you how we thought about HN.
So Nino Pena. I'm sure you guys talked about him a little bit. I think I missed it. What are your thoughts on Worthy now that Rice and Pacheco and Hollywood? Again, we talked about that earlier. Also, we did about just Worthy coming up now that Rice is down. So hopefully he has an opportunity to be the number one guy and really take the reins over there. But there's really nobody else on that team to contest him. So hopefully he takes the opportunity, he runs with it. Literally, being the fastest guy at the combine, he could do some things. But what that's to be seen and actually happen. So let's see what happens. But I'm buying into it. I picked him up. I already have him. So I'll be starting him.
Appreciate the super chat here, Nino, and all in one, but we'll get to all in ones first. He said that we missed his full lineup. So let's go back. We'll definitely go back here. Maybe when we were starring it, when I wasn't listening to Frank earlier in the show. Oh, here we go. Yep, totally missed it. So he says, so it start. All right, so this is much better than holy crap. I was like, bro, you're in a tough spot if that's your starting team. There's nothing you can do. I mean, that's a great team. Burrow, Bijan, Jacobs, Flowers, London, Kelsey, and Pollard. So that's his starters.
Still say move on, Kelsey.
So if that's the case, if you can still get name value maybe on Bijan and maybe turn him into like a David Montgomery, who we just talked about being like the RB, 8 or 9 right now overall. If you can turn Bijan into David Montgomery and maybe like a Brandon Ayuk or something like that, that's what I'd kind of maybe look to do. You're going to have to take a chance or a risk. You're already 0-4, so what do you really have to lose, right? So the only thing you could do is try to part out something that still has value to try to increase, the guys that you have. Plus, by trading like Bijan, you're going to get away from having that stack with London on an offense that's not really like performing high. Like if you had Jameson Williams and David Montgomery, this wouldn't be an issue because that offense and those guys are putting up points every week. But Bijan and London are kind of like hit or miss one way or the other. And for whatever reason, still, even without Arthur Smith, like Algier keeps finding his way on the field and like producing better than Bijan when he is on the field. So it's just the weirdest thing. A guy who ran like a 4.6 40 is beating out like a number one touted, prospect. So yeah, it's just real strange to me. I think Burrow's fine. He's coming around. And yeah, if you can part off Kelsey right now and just go to Njoku and trade him off to get another piece, then I would do that, as well. And I think Pollard's a sneaky little value pick that you can keep. But yeah, those would be some of the guys that I'd be looking to get. Those Brandon Ayuks, again, maybe now with this, knowing this is his lineup, maybe a Devonta Smith could work, Frank, like you were talking about, knowing he has like some other
guys
depth over here.
There,
yeah. So like maybe trade one of your hurt guys and one of these guys like a Zay Flowers and someone and try to get like, Brian Thomas Jr. and, maybe Jordan Addison or, someone like that. If you're just trying to like change it up a bit. You want pieces of some high-powered offenses. Like that's the problem right now. Is Atlanta hasn't really been putting up points. Jacobs, Green Bay's been putting up points, but it's been in the air, not the ground. And Flowers, it's the same thing. It's been on the ground, not the air.
Yeah.
And London, he keeps kind of up and down, so he's decent. So yeah. All right. So again, want to spend a little extra time on that. Anything else you want to say? I appreciate the super chat. All in one.
I was still unmoved even after we read that. I was like, nah. Move on, Kelsey. You'll start Njoku after that and see, because I mean that's the name that you could, and I think it stands out more than the other guys. Or looks, if you could partner him with somebody else, you could actually get a piece of something that actually helps your team.
Yeah, and this is why you're saying like, oh, you want to move off Kelsey. Rice just got injured. You might wait another week. If you wait another week and he still doesn't perform with no Rice, then who's really going to take him at that point? If we're already talking about, are you benching Mahomes? So like maybe you could still kind of sell high on name and that he did have his best performance of the year so far. Once Rice went down, like that's what you're selling on, because again, it's still just a tight end. It's not like he's scoring 25 points again. Like if you still think he's that guy that's going to score you 25 points as a tight end every week, I think you're tripping. Like I think we've clearly seen
those
that he's past that.
Those
like, days are over.
Gone. Yeah.
That cliff has come, and we just need to accept that he could still be a tight end one. He's just not
might have that one game once.
Yeah, but he might have a multi-touchdown game, but he's not going for like 9 or 10 catches on 13 targets for 120 and 2 or 3 touchdowns. Like he may do that once a year now, if that. And like even still, I think it'd have to be like the perfect storm, right? Like it would have to literally be the perfect storm. So I think while you have a chance, that's kind of the move you make at a position that you can easily find replacement value on the waiver wire.
Just selling as high as possible on that dude right now.
Exactly. So there you go. So
Nino
let's get to
Pena
news. Yeah.
Coming in here, he's 1-3 in a 10-man. Worried, but team seems solid still. He's got what is that? Patty? JT, Cook,
Patty
Jettas,
Mahomes, I assume.
Patty Mahomes. Okay, Patty Mahomes. JT, Cook, Jettas, Godwin, Kelsey, Deontay, and then the bench, you guys Pickens, Rashid Shaheed, Ford, and Chase Brown. So not looking bad. I mean, Deontay Johnson just started doing some things. I like JT and Cook. They're running pretty well right now. Jettis obviously is, doing Jettis things. Godwin is up and down there depending on Tampa Bay, but I mean, is Tampa Bay's firing on all cylinders right now, so I wouldn't mind him starting him as where he's at. Pickens is hit and miss here and there sometimes, but he's some same thing. And Chase Brown is upcoming while Ford is on the way down.
Right.
Does it need to make any moves on this or what?
Yeah, so I'm going to reread it again because I was going through starring because we got a bunch of more chats that came in. We're already at the 30-minute mark, so we may go for about 15 more minutes, guys. About 10, 15 minutes. So we'll try to get as many as we can. If you want to guarantee that your question gets read here, drop us a super chat with it. If not, we'll try to do our best to get to it, or we'll maybe reply once we go offline. Just a quick answer, but we do have to start to wrap this up here. But we appreciate your questions, so we'll keep going here. We'll try to rapid fire as much as we can. So 1 and 3, 10-man, worried about the team, solid still. Patty, JT, Cook, Jettis, Godwin, Kelsey, Deontay. His bench is Pickens, Shaheed, Ford, and Chase Brown. I don't know, man. I really like this team. Cook, I understand, but I just think it was off week. He's going to go up and down. Godwin, Jettis, you're solid. Kelsey, again, we just kind of talked about what you could potentially do with him. I like the up and coming Chase, Ford. Like maybe you can, package Ford and Kelsey to the Nick Chubb team, and get one of those pieces there, plus free up a spot for your bye weeks here that you might need to pick some people up as bye weeks start rolling in. Try to get that 2-for-1 trade out of there. But Pickens, I like. Shaheed, I like. Godwin, Jettis, Deontay, they're all in good spots right now. So yeah, I mean, I'm keeping this team at the moment. Maybe you could try to do something and buy low on like Breece Hall. If you want to turn like maybe Cook into, Cook and Ford, or like, Chase Brown and Cook into like maybe Breece, or, try to take Pickens and Chase Brown or something, try to get, Bijan Robinson. I would try those guys and try to buy low on them and see what happens. But other than that, I mean, that's about other than that, I'm hanging tight. So yeah, it should come around.
If I was
sometimes it's just bad matchups. Yeah.
Looking to take those two pieces, like you were saying, Pickens and Chase Brown, and maybe go for a wide receiver of some kind. That's where I think you could improve more. Not sure.
I prefer Kelsey.
Maybe
like
I think
and Kelsey,
Ryan Thomas Jr.,
Kelsey.
Jameson, one of those guys I think would be really good for him.
Well, he's only started 2 wide receivers and then a flex, and 10-man. So I don't think BTJ has as much value in a 10-man. So you're always wanting to try to better up. You know what I mean? Like go get AJ Brown. Like if you can go buy AJ Brown right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you should have maybe targeted him before. Yeah, like Pickens and Shaheed for AJ Brown.
But I mean, one of the guys is going to be Deontay Johnson. I mean, I don't know. I would just start him over Godwin is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. Oh, Godwin's doing good. Why would you start him over Godwin? Godwin's like wide receiver like 13 right now. Have you not been like Baker Mayfield's like QB1 overall? Like you
I know he's fired up. I know.
Yeah. He's literally the wide receiver 5 overall right now. Like there's only 4 guys.
Down game this last game, 6-9 for 69 yards, man. I guess he didn't get that touchdown, so it didn't look all that great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but still scored 12.9 points without a touchdown.
6.9 points.
6.9? Non-full PPR. We're talking full PPR. Are you on a non-PPR league?
Half PPR.
Oh.
We got a full PPR. See what it says. 12.9. Yeah. See, I just think you half. I always started at half.
Yeah. So anyway, good stuff. We appreciate the super chat. We do like to spend the extra time on those when they come in. So again, you want to guarantee your question gets read, throw us a super. We'll try to go for a few more minutes here and see what we can do. So where did we last leave off?
I got an individual.
Oh, here we go. It was Alex Wiseman. Wicks and Dobbs both on my waiver. Who do you guys like more? And we don't need to give a whole explanation. Just who do you like more?
I know.
Actually, you can give a quick
choice, Wicks, but I think overall it's probably going to be Dobbs, man. I don't know why. Dobbs seems to be like a touchdown magnet for them.
Yeah, go ahead. So my quick, just if you want to go after my quick take is, if you're looking for someone kind of short term, to get you through these next couple weeks while Watson's out, I'd go Wicks. I think he has a higher upside. If you're looking for someone who's going to be relevant for you for the rest of the year, like if you lost Rashee Rice and he's completely gone for the year, maybe you go with someone like Dobbs, or if you can, maybe grab both of them, see which one maybe pops. Maybe they're both good. You could trade one off, again, because he's part of a high-powered offense. So that's my quick take. You want to finish off?
What's up like that? Because Wick seems to be more like the flash splash guy, while Dobbs, has a spot on the starting lineup. So you know what I mean?
It's like that steady Eddie.
Basically, it's the steady Eddie type play right there.
Yeah, he'll lead the team in snaps. So,
MG.
Conklin or Kraft. He also has Mark Andrews. Yeah. So I'm probably starting Kraft next week, man.
You starting Kraft? I'm starting Conklin.
I don't mind Conklin. He's my highest drafted tight end in underdog. So anytime Conklin has a good night, your boy Rasta's feeling good over here. So just know that. All right, so we got to the supers. Big Gio, I don't know if this is so much a question, but I think I started because he said he traded Mahomes 2 weeks ago along with Diggs for Harrison and Mayfield. Super win. And he has Lamar as a starter. So, if you could have done that 2 weeks ago, that's the kind of trade you got to do right there. Bought low on Harrison Jr. and Mayfield, and he's sitting with a number one wide receiver and a top three quarterback right now.
Nice move
for someone who's QB 16 and Diggs, who's not bad, but part of a three.
With Mayfield, Mayfield and Harrison after that with Lamar as your starter, you're solid, dude. And you got rid of Mahomes. You don't have to worry about that anymore. That's nice.
For sure.
It's good moves.
I like that. All right. I think we're almost done, man. I think we're almost done. Wait till Donald starts fumbling. Sam Darnold, number one for MVP rankings and number one. This is a weird season. What else do we got? We got Chandler back here. What's up, Chandler? Good to see you again. He says his team's Purdy, Stroud, CMC, Mostert, Ford, Rashad White, and Henry. As wide receivers are Evans, Debo, Rice, Jennings, and Dobbs. Tight ends Goddard, Ingram, and Andrews. He's 3-1. Do you see any trader moves he should make in full PPR? He said someone offered him Monty, Mixon, Jacobs, one of those three, and Addison for Stroud. We like this. Or can he get more for a 12-man and 6 point per passing plus 2 points per 10 passes completed? That's interesting. So let's see here. So he has Purdy already. Does he give up Stroud to get one of those running backs and Addison? I think you might need Addison now with Rice being most likely gone for the season or a significant part of the fantasy season. And with Nick Chubb coming back, Ford is kind of on his way out. Rashad White's kind of losing his job to Bucky. So really only kind of have Henry there. I think out of necessity, you might have to. And I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad. If you feel confident still with Purdy, and again, you have Debo, so you still have a little mini stack there to extract a little extra value out of it. I would do it. It just comes down to which running back you like more. I'd probably take Mixon, especially if you're trading Stroud. Then you still kind of benefit. You're trading Stroud away, but when you play this guy, Stroud may or may not hurt you as much.
Should we keep in CMC or try to trade the CMC away?
Yeah, he's. I mean, obviously you could try to trade him, but I think his value after today is pretty shot. But yeah, I was just kind of concentrating more on his second question because we could talk about that for 30 minutes. We don't have that time right now. So, what do you think just about that?
I take Monty.
All right, I'd take Mixon, then Monty.
So many.
Maybe you could squeeze something out of it because Mixon's hurt right now. Maybe he has another lotto piece you can give to him. Do you guys consider Jaden Reed a top 20 wide receiver for the rest of the season? I think you have to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, name me 19 other wide receivers with Kupp, Puka, Rashee Rice, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. I mean, I can't even name, I could probably name 19 receivers that aren't playing next week more so than I can name 19 receivers that I would start ahead of Jaden Reed. Yeah. So right now he's sitting as your wide receiver 4 overall. So I'd say he's a top 20, and that was without Love for 2 weeks. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, so that dude's definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
2 games with
Top
Love,
10.
33 points, 27 points. 2 games without Love, 6 points, 10 points. Still put up points, but just you see a ceiling. So good stuff.
He said, "I'm dropping Steele. Would you go after Singletary?"
He's dropping Steele. Would you go after Singletary? I mean, if he's on the waiver, I think he's worth rostering Singletary. Just as a death piece. But yeah, I mean, like Raven said, if he's there, go for it. I mean, he's better than Steele, that's for sure. Like, is he going to win your league? I don't know. But he's better than Steele. So yeah, I would do that.
So I had this one for Rafael. Rivera here. Should I trade Jefferson for Neighbors and a Uke 2 flex PPR? My lineup is right now is Burrow, J. Cook, Charbonnet, JJ, Garrett Wilson, Kelsey, London, and Chase Brown. So he's trying to trade Jefferson for Neighbors and a Uke. So he's getting 2 for 1.
I don't know if I can. Oh, that's tough. I mean, Neighbors is the wide receiver 1 overall right now.
Yeah.
Ayuk, you're buying kind of low. I mean, to give up Jefferson, to put your eggs in a basket that's being driven by Daniel Jones, I don't care how good he's doing right now, still scares me a little bit. I'd want a piece better than Ayuk. Like, maybe if that's Godwin, somebody else right now, maybe a running back, considering you just have James Cook and Sharp and just Chase Brown. Like, I'd want a running back. I don't think 2 wide receivers is going to do anything if you're going to part out Jefferson. Like, if I'm giving up Jefferson, I'm going after like Brees or Bijan and maybe then Ayuk. Like, I'd rather do that. Like, give me.
I wouldn't be taking Ayuk at all. I like
That's what I mean.
like you're saying, Brees and Bijan. That sounds good.
Yeah. Like, I'll take my chances going for one of those guys, because trading Jefferson for Neighbors, you're just shuffling,
Swapping 1s and 2s.
But you're not even getting the best one per se at it. I mean, maybe people would argue at this point, but like, if you just talk setup, and I mean,
I would rather have Jefferson anyways.
Much better,
because,
but yeah,
mean, Neighbors is with
That's
the
tough.
Giants and Daniel Jones, so
Yeah.
I'd rather have Jefferson anyways.
the touchdown upside is going to be so limited with Neighbors. So yeah, I'd go after a different package myself personally, Raphael. We could talk more about it on Wednesday if you want to bring it to the trade show. Who else do we got here?
I think that's about it, man.
Do we move off Kelsey and Rice? Move off Kelsey and Rice just got injured. He doesn't. Oh no, I brought that up.
Yeah, the rest of the stuff's all.
You got it all there?
Amongst themselves. Yeah, we should be good. Yeah.
And dropped an for Mike Thomas to the Chiefs. How are we feeling about Mark Andrews? Andre asked again, how are we feeling about Mark Andrews who we're dropping? I don't think he's worth dropping. It's just worth the stash. He says he's talking to the Andrews owner, Laporta Goddard, and a piece for Dobbins.
Send him Goddard.
He's trying to. I don't know what that question's saying exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
He corrected it with exactly what he said already. He said try. I think it double auto corrected on him.
So
I think he meant talking.
You want to trade Garrett Wilson when he booms? Maybe show you over here.
Do I trade Garrett Wilson when he booms? I have Wilson as a buy for me personally. Like, I'll take him. But I mean, if you personally don't feel like he's going to boom or do well, then yeah, that's when you want to trade him, is when he finally has a good game and say, hey, see, there it is. And move off of it. Yeah, absolutely. Try not to sell low. Last one here, and then we'll wrap it up. Baker or Darnold for week 5. Brandman bringing the start sit question on a Monday when I don't even know who people play next week. And you couldn't even tell me, my guy. Couldn't even tell me who they play. Now you're going to make me go break up a schedule and do all this. I'm just filibustering right now for you, Brandman. I got you.
Playing the Jets. We talked about that earlier, remember?
Oh, okay. Jets. And then who's Baker? I'll probably play Baker then. Who's Tampa Bay playing? Atlanta?
They're playing Atlanta.
Yeah, give me Baker in Atlanta. Yeah, give me Baker in Atlanta. There it is. Ooh, appreciate it, Brandman. See, he got me. So, yeah. I'd go Baker.
Yeah.
Give me Baker.
Let's go.
All right, good stuff. All right, so we're going to call it a night, guys, man. That was good stuff. Appreciate you hanging out with us here. Again, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. If you're not subscribed, or if you already are subscribed, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you also throw a subscribe to our affiliate channels. Frank, why don't you tell them about our boys?
Oh, shit, I wasn't even ready. Go ahead. It's like doing other things over here. So we guys got our guys here, Kendall Vanderbilt with the Fantasy Football Tavern. So if you're looking to enjoy some hot takes and cold beers, be sure to subscribe to Kendall's channel, the Fantasy Football Tavern. The links are in the description. We also got Phil Ruskin doing the extra point. Here, everyone likes scoring the touchdowns, but you got to come out and kick the extra point. So tune into the extra point with Phil Ruskin live on Thursdays, because the extra point can be the difference between a win or a loss. So subscribe, links are in the description below. Also for Tycoon here and the Fantasy Boardroom as well. He's on here on Tuesdays, so come check out all our Get Right, content creators here. Part of the Get Right Fantasy here, Network Fantasy here. So, like and subscribe to everybody's channels.
For sure. Absolutely. And just real quick, this man said he was trying to trade the Andrews owner, Laporta or Goddard, and a piece for Dobbins. So I would go with Goddard and a piece for Dobbins, and I'm still holding on to Laporta, man. I still can't give up on him quite quickly. Yeah, it's all good. All right, I know you're ready to get out of here. I'm ready to get out of here. We'll talk to you guys, man. We can all be back here with you guys on Wednesday for some trade talk. So bring those questions there. You can, as soon as you see us, link it. Make sure you guys hit those notifications. You can drop your chats in there, get them in there early, because we will start kind of having to put a time limit as we get busier here with the season. But we will, of course, try to answer as many questions as we can. So to guarantee your question gets read, you can drop it as soon as you see the live stream drop. So make sure you have those notifications turned on. So yeah, we appreciate it, Ravens. Appreciate you guys. Nick, we will please. He said please. He's going Darnold. I like what I see from both of them, but I'll go Darnold as well. I even waited 30 seconds and then you didn't do it, and then we still try to put it up at the same time. So there we go. So we're all saying Darnold. So there you go, Nick. We'll ride or die with you there on Darnold. He has Justin Jefferson, man, and they score touchdowns in the air. So I'll take that offense. All right. So that's it, man. So again, from all of us here at Get Right, man, we appreciate it. Hope you had a good week 4. If you're struggling a bit, come back with us, man. We'll help you get your lineups right heading into week 5. We'll see you on Wednesday for buy, sell, trade. Can't wait. Frank, have a good night. We'll see you then.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Wanted to white fantasy is the play. Marking nothing but I tune every Friday. Strategies provided.